What if the leading thinkers in psychology have been unveiling the actual attraction dynamics for the past 100 years, while millions of women continuously seek attention in dignity-draining ways, asking themselves why their relationships resemble emotional battlegrounds? There is a small group of women who appear to command devotion, respect, and real desire from men with ease. They don't chase, they attract. They don't beg, they choose. They don't settle, they inspire. The difference isn't beauty, wealth, or luck. It's understanding. Drawn from Carl Jung's groundbreaking observations of the male psyche, we can recognize 9 psychological patterns that rule masculine desire at its most basic level. These are not manipulation techniques. They're the underlying codes that make you either forgettable or unforgettable, replaceable or not replaceable to a man. What you're about to learn will profoundly change the way you see yourself, your relationships, and your real power as a woman. This is not about becoming someone different. It's about unlocking the magnetic presence you've always had hidden beneath the conditioning of society. Because somewhere along the line, we lost sight of the fact that feminine power isn't acquired through desperation. It's accessed through mindful awareness. For years, women have been instructed to become more available, more tolerant, more accommodating, and yet, the women who somehow magically seem to find and hold on to profound, passionate relationships operate on entirely different guidelines. They know something that most women were never taught, that real attraction isn't built on submission or availability. It's nurtured through mindful presence and unapologetic self-worth. The 9 patterns we're about to discover aren't theories ripped from old psychology textbooks. They're alive principles seen in the most attractive women throughout history, confirmed by up-to-date research, and tested successful in building the type of strong, lasting attraction that turns relationships from ordinary to extraordinary. Pattern 1. The validation gateway. You've seen how men spend hours broadcasting their successes on social media, right? That tells you all about their underlying need for recognition and approval. Biologically or socially conditioned as they may be, men are hardwired to seek constant approval. Every like, comment, or compliment triggers pleasure centers in the brain. Having this awareness allows you to respond intentionally to their emotional needs. The error 95% of women commit is giving validation gratuitously, like tap water. They approve every picture, compliment every success, expecting the other way around. This is what's usually overlooked. Overapprobation leads to emotional numbness. Their brain gets used to all the praise, not needing to work anymore for your attention. Since it's automatic, you become predictable, and men don't deeply fall for the predictable. They get attracted to what they can't completely control. Consider the following. Suppose that you had unlimited access to your favorite dessert. Initially, you would be over the moon, but after you had it readily available, its specialness would dissipate. The same holds true for emotional validation. When it is always available, it becomes noise in the background instead of meaningful appreciation. The conscious method: curate the emotional experience they desire on your terms. Instead of commenting before everyone else on his updates, build anticipation. Instead of oohing and ahhing over his success immediately, think before commenting, muster something like, "That's interesting," and kindly change the subject. This creates what psychologists refer to as intermittent reinforcement, the same effect that makes some experiences irrevocably memorable. A real "you're amazing" from you becomes more precious than an infinite number of comments from others. Timing and authenticity are the secrets. For women based on self-worth, this isn't manipulation, it's aware appreciation. You're giving attention when it's truly deserved, so your praise is all the more valuable, because it's from someone who doesn't toss it around without thinking. But here's the underlying dynamic. This method also shields your own energy. When you're constantly affirming others, you empty your emotional pockets. By being discriminating in your praise, you keep your own emotional center and reserve your appreciation to make it more valuable when you do give it. The application in practice is this: wait before you talk, see what really impresses you, rather than what he's doing to try to get a compliment. Answer in kind to real accomplishment and character development. Remain neutral or deflect conversation when he's obviously fishing for compliments. This is not coldness, it's discrimination. Pattern 2. The mystery principle. Another pattern operating quietly in the background is uncertainty. Predictability quenches passion quicker than anything. Either through evolutionary coding or conditioned behavior, men's interest inevitably wanes when they know just what to expect. Your answers, your availability, your responses. Why do men often fall under the spell of women who appear just out of reach? It is not masochism, it is psychological momentum. The male mind, nature or nurture, is attracted to what can't be entirely predicted or controlled. Most women unintentionally bring flatness to their emotions by making themselves too accessible too soon. They reply immediately, organize foreseeable meetings, tell everything about their lives. They think openness fosters trust, but too much predictability runs romance dry. Think of the difference between a favorite song played once a week and played every hour. The song played once a week retains its emotional power, while the song played each hour becomes annoying background noise. Your presence in his life adheres to the same psychological laws. Let's use this knowledge. Favor your communication rhythms first. If you usually reply in minutes, sometimes wait hours with no reason. If you normally set up traditional dates, surprise him with something utterly out of the blue. Second, practice selective disclosure. Don't tell him everything that happened to you during the day. Maybe when he asks what you did, you can say, "I had an interesting day," then smoothly move on to a different subject. These spaces provide an opportunity for his imagination to work, and his imagination will serve you well. Third, practice strategic unavailability. Be unattainable for brief moments from time to time. When reconnecting, do not apologize for your absence. Just reconnect warmly. This uncertainty regarding your time and attention generates positive tension. The aim is balance, not utter unpredictability, which is chaos, but not absolute predictability, which is monotony. You want that tension between, "I know she cares," and "I wonder what she'll do next." The psychology behind this is as follows. The human brain is wired to respond to patterns that change. Unchanging patterns recede into the background of awareness, whereas changing patterns arrest and hold attention. By carefully changing up your patterns of availability and response, you naturally keep him interested psychologically. But this is more than merely generating interest. Mystery also guards your true self. When you reveal all at once, you don't provide yourself with space to think through experiences completely. Having some private space means you can formulate your own thoughts and feelings before sharing them, which in fact makes your eventual disclosure more meaningful and thoughtful. The real-world application is to develop natural rhythms instead of calculated games. Live your own complete life with authentic interests, commitments, and friendships. This automatically generates the unavailability that keeps things of interest while keeping you from being artificially withholding, but sharing from fullness instead of emptiness. Pattern 3. The emotional mirror. The method here is to reflect a man's mood with uncanny precision, making him feel as though he has been truly heard in an instant. It is shown through research that simply accurately reading a person's emotions prior to their expression triggers strong neurological responses that release bonding hormones. Most women, upon beholding an upset male, ignore the situation and hope it goes away, or jump right in and try to correct it. You're going to do something completely different. Be his ideal emotional reflection, rather than asking what's wrong, as everybody else does. Watch his body language, pay attention to his tone, see the tension in his face, then mirror what you see. I can tell you're upset because you think you're being misunderstood in what you're attempting to do. His reaction is going to be instant. Exactly. How did you know? Correctly labeling his emotional state establishes recognition. This woman really looks at me. That sense of really being heard creates deep connection. This isn't about changing or fixing him. It's about seeing his experience so clearly he feels seen. For many men, emotional attunement at this level is novel and thus of unparalleled value. The neuroscience of emotional mirroring is riveting. When you feel accurately understood, your nervous system actually regulates and quiets. You're not only building connection, you're offering a real service by facilitating his clearer processing of his emotional experience. But emotional mirroring does take real skill acquisition. Guessing what a person might be feeling isn't sufficient. You must acquire actual observational skills and emotional intelligence. Pay attention to micro-expressions, shifts in posture, variations in the tone of voice. Practice with friends and relatives to become skilled at this. The more profound function of emotional mirroring goes beyond building attraction. It's actually cultivating true empathy and emotional intelligence, which will benefit you in all relationships in your lifetime. You're becoming a person who can really get others, and that's one of the most useful skills any human being can master. Here's how to practice. Begin simply observing, without automatically attempting to mirror. Invest in observing people's emotional displays and body language. Observe patterns. Then start with minimal reflections. You look tired, or I notice you're really pumped about this. As your accuracy increases, you can provide more sophisticated reflections. The secret to success is natural observation, not performance. You're really attempting to grasp his emotional reality, not control it. This is what makes the technique effective. It's actual empathy in action, not emotionally manipulative theater. Pattern 4. Dealing with the fear of inadequacy. Every guy has a version of the fear of not being good enough, of failing, losing, or seeming inadequate. Whether this is evolutionary pressure or contemporary social demands, this fear remains part of masculine psychology. Once you've connected on an emotional level through mirroring, you can speak directly to this fear with great success. Instead of making direct competition, amateur, as if by chance, let on you have plans of interest, significant meetings, or interesting invitations. Should he ask for details, stay pleasantly evasive. Oh, just some work issues, while your vitality hints at something greater. This subtle incongruence engages his awareness. His mind starts filling in blanks. Who will she be with? What's this about? Am I losing her attention? The key is timing. First, make him feel fully understood. Then create subtle uncertainty regarding your availability. This isn't about instilling insecurity, but about keeping your own full life. A woman with strong interests, responsibilities, and relationships, apart from romance, naturally creates this dynamic, naturally without design or calculation. Seeing the male fear of inadequacy necessitates an understanding of how pervasive it is. Most men, no matter how outwardly successful, have some form of imposter syndrome. They are afraid of being found wanting, not enough, not strong enough, intelligent enough, successful enough, or worthy enough. This fear tends to produce behaviors that confuse women: the requirement to be constantly self-assured, the inability to seek guidance, the proclivity for defensiveness when criticized, or the compulsion to constantly demonstrate oneself through accomplishment. Instead of criticizing these actions, having insight into them enables you to react in ways that truly make him feel safer without sacrificing your own boundaries and standards. You don't have to cure his insecurities, but you can opt to react in ways that don't invariably trigger them. The operational application is being aware of when his inadequacy fear is triggered and responding deliberately. If he becomes defensive when criticized, you may say, "I can see this is important to you," instead of insisting on your point further. If he is boasting about success, you may compliment his success without excessively praising. The deeper principle involved is learning how to look underneath surface behaviors to the underlying emotions and needs. This ability, looking underneath the bravado to the fear, beneath the anger to the hurt, beneath the arrogance to the insecurity, enables you to respond to the real person instead of simply to the presenting behavior. Pattern 5. The need for admiration with challenge. Men insist on admiration, but not blind adoration. They desire someone who admires their genuine self, but also motivates them to improve. They require a woman who provides shelter in times of vulnerability, but sparks their drive when they are complacent. This is what gets missed most. At a man's moments of doubt or defeat, your reaction within the first 30 seconds can decide if he'll respect you forever or lose respect forever. Most women freak out, getting anxious, apologetic, or desperately reassuring. Instead, become rock calm in his storm. Soften your voice, release your tension, and look him straight in the eye, and with unwavering presence, speak, "I see your true worth. This moment does not define you." This written energy becomes a stabilizing anchor that grounds him in an instant. This emotional fortitude engenders something deep. This woman trusts me even when I don't trust myself. If she can see my potential, then it must be there. That sense of security in your faith becomes irresistibly compelling, not because you're controlling his feelings, but because you're showing your own immovable center. The tension between admiration and challenge is delicate, but vital. Too much admiration and not enough challenge breeds complacency. Too much challenge and not enough admiration breeds resentment. The ideal balance is real appreciation for who he is, along with gentle pushing to become who he might become. Imagine this as being a personal trainer to a person's character. A quality trainer takes pride in current positives while still having standards to keep growing. They don't beat you down with unrealistic expectations, but they don't allow you to settle for something short of what you're capable of either. This means you truly have to see his potential, not the man you wish him to be, but who he is capable of being. If he were to use his current strengths to their fullest extent, this vision must be grounded in reality, not dreams. You're not attempting to alter his fundamental nature, but rather facilitate the fullest expression of his true self. The practical application is learning to disentangle the person from their present behavior when he's at his worst. You treat him to his deeper character and not his transient state. When he's doing well, you reward the effort and character strengths which brought about the success, not the result. This style demands high emotional maturity on your part. You need to be confident enough in yourself, not to flinch in the face of his storms, clever enough to recognize potential which is not yet fully present, and firm enough to uphold standards without being controlling or critical. The deeper intention of this pattern is growth for both of you. By learning to see and respond to his highest potential, you are cultivating your own wisdom and discernment. By holding standards while providing support, you are establishing a relationship dynamic that raises the level of both partners. Pattern 6. Awareness of status and social presence. Males have extremely sensitive antennae to what goes on socially. They notice the way you conduct yourself in restaurants, how you treat waiter personnel, how people react to your arrival. When they see genuine confidence, attraction increases. When they get a whiff of insecurity, it obviously declines. This is not about acting superior. This is creating authentic feminine presence. Allow your silence to hold power and your words to hold weight. Walk with effortless ease. Never apologize for taking up space. When you enter any setting, do so with inward comfort. For women who've empowered themselves, this presence is automatic. You're not acting high status. You're simply being someone who respects herself in the right way. That confident energy makes him proud to be seen with you because it indicates the level of connection he's able to create. Through social conditioning or inherent preference, men are naturally attracted to women who draw subtle respect from their surroundings, not being demanding and entitled, but simply conducting oneself as someone who is used to being treated well because one treats oneself well. Embracing social presence means understanding that it's not about outward trappings of status, designer clothing, name-dropping, or belittling others to make yourself look good. Real presence is a result of inner self-respect and self-confidence that shines through. This is evidenced by little things: how you enter a room, how you engage with people's eyes, how you treat wait staff, how you deal with errors or inconvenience. These small behaviors convey your relationship with yourself and your position in the world. Achieving real presence is work on the inside first. It begins with really believing you are worth respect and kindness. This belief then comes out naturally in the way you navigate the world. You don't insist on respect. You simply expect it because you respect yourself. The real-world application is to notice your own behavior in social interactions. Do you apologize too often? Do you shrink yourself to avoid being too big? Do you jump into filling silence with anxious talk? Slowly work on changing these habits to align with the confident woman that you are emerging to be. This also means being respectful towards others the way you wish to be treated. Real class is never about condescending to others. Real class is about being graceful and kind, no matter what. The woman with presence is just as gracious to the CEO as she is to the janitor. The deeper lesson here is recognizing that the way other people treat you is also a reflection of how you treat yourself. When you cultivate real self-respect and belief in yourself, people simply respond to that vibration with even more respect and regard. Pattern 7. The accountability mirror. Men often make statements. I respect honesty more than anything. Devotion is the most important thing to me. I can't stand dishonesty. But they occasionally act counter to these professed principles, as we all do. Another pattern operating below awareness. Saving these statements in your memory. Should what he does disclaim what he says, peacefully and without hostility, mirror his own standards back to him. You said honesty was core to you. How is this reconciled with what just transpired? This peaceful confrontation with his own contradictions produces mental tension that makes him truly reflective. His brain knows that you notice on a level that others fail to recognize, and that fine-grained awareness leaves him feeling exposed and paradoxically more linked to you. It's not about tallying up scores or setting up gotcha situations. Rather, you're encouraging him to meet his own stated values, something that ultimately benefits both of you in having a relationship founded on integrity and not convenience. The psychological underpinning for accountability mirroring is cognitive dissonance theory. When behavior isn't consistent with a person's espoused beliefs, they experience internal tension that they're compelled to alleviate. By pointing out these inconsistencies in a kind way, you're really making him more self-aware and real. This method takes sensitivity of timing and tone. It can best work when done calmly, without accusation or anger. You're not accusing him of anything. You're just calling attention to an inconsistency and letting him work it through. You want to sound curious, not judgmental. The skill acquisition here is learning to listen attentively to what others say about their values and standards, then seeing if what they do matches what they teach. It's not about seeking to catch individuals in failure, but to comprehend the gap between an individual's ideal self and his immediate behavior. Everyone else has gaps between what they want and how they behave. The accountability mirror is not about punishing those gaps, but about creating awareness that leads to growth. You're basically nudging him to become more aware of his own patterns and decisions. This approach requires significant emotional maturity from you. You must be able to observe and reflect without becoming emotionally reactive yourself. You also need to be prepared to apply the same standard of accountability to yourself. You can't hold others to standards you don't maintain. The higher reason behind this pattern is building relationships on genuine integrity, not surface compatibility. By facilitating real alignment of values and action, you're building the type of deep, honest connection that can survive life's inevitable adversities. Pattern 8. Genuine feminine energy. We're in a time when most women have lost touch with their fundamental feminine presence. They appear uncertain, desperately searching for approval, without clear personal standards. Maybe when a man meets a woman who truly possesses grounded feminine energy, it's deeply revitalizing. This energy is not submission or fragility, it's refined strength, the power to be soft and firm, gentle and unyielding, a presence that simply says, I deserve excellence without having to proclaim it. For women who have reclaimed their true feminine power, such a presence arises naturally. You're not pretending femininity, you're just being a woman who feels at peace with her strength and with her softness, with her independence and with her availability for connection. Whether it's cultural conditioning or biological necessity, men tend to be naturally attracted to this energy because it stirs their deepest masculine selves in response. It's not about conforming to classic roles, but about living the specific way that the feminine energy flows through you. To understand real feminine energy means to be able to recognize it and separate it from cultural stereotypes of femininity. It has nothing to do with being passive, submissive, or dependent. Real feminine energy is strong, imaginative, perceptive, and in contact with life force itself. This energy manifests differently in various women. In some, it is nurturing and defensive. In others, it is ferocious and transfigurative. In some women, it manifests through creativity. In others, through leadership. In others, through healing or teaching. The most important thing is to discover your own true expression, not to imitate someone else's. Reclaiming feminine energy is a healing process of undoing wounds inflicted by a culture that has idealized and devalued femininity. Women have kept themselves constricted from their natural feminine selves in order to navigate successfully in masculine environments, then are baffled about how to tap into this energy in their intimate relationships. The process of growth is one of reconnecting with your body, your intuition, your creativity, and your ability to be both strong and vulnerable. It is a process of learning to trust your inner voice, instead of continually seeking outside approval of your decisions and emotions. Practically, this might involve spending time in nature, engaging in creative activities, practicing meditation or other mindfulness techniques, moving your body in ways that feel natural and pleasurable, and surrounding yourself with beauty and inspiration. The deeper principle is understanding that feminine energy is not the opposite of masculine energy, but rather its complement. When you're grounded in your true feminine power, you inevitably draw out the best expression of masculine energy in response to you. This is a satisfying dynamic for both parties. Pattern 9. Unwavering self-worth. The most life-changing pattern, perhaps, is holding firm to absolute self-respect, having standards that are non-negotiable, and the real desire to leave any setup, even with an amazing man, if the standards are not being met. This is imperative to grasp. Having the inner strength to exit, that you don't need his validation or approval, so desperately means he will respect you exponentially more. He understands that it is a privilege to be around you because of all that he's done, not because of who he is. This changes the way he appreciates you in ways you might not have ever felt before. It is not an act or a tactic. It is the organic byproduct of a woman who truly understands how much she is worth and will not settle her happiness for anyone's notice. Either formed by experience or inherent wisdom, this self-respect makes magnetic attraction because it conveys emotional health and maturity. It says that you're selecting him from a position of wholeness rather than need, making the selection infinitely more significant. Creating unshakable self-worth is likely the most significant work any woman can undertake, not only for her love life, but for all aspects of her life. It's the basis on which all wholesome relationships are established, and the source of authentic personal power. This self-worth has to be authentic, not acted out. It is derived from actually knowing your inherent value as a human being, apart from external accomplishments, other people's opinions, or relationship status. It's the profound realization that you deserve love, respect, and compassion merely because you are alive. Creating this foundation usually means healing old hurts, breaking negative and limiting beliefs, and creating new modes of self-talk and self-treatment. It may take therapy, coaching, spiritual practice, or intense personal work to see and change the ways you've learned to devalue yourself. The real-life application is having and enforcing boundaries in every aspect of your life. It begins with small things, learning to say no to things that drain you, being able to speak up if you're treated with disrespect, picking activities and relationships that have a positive energy on you rather than draining one. As your self-value increases, naturally you become more picky about the people you let into your life and how you let them treat you. This isn't about being difficult or demanding, it's about having standards and having the self-respect to uphold them. This change permeates all of the relationships in your life, not just romantic, family members, friends, co-workers, and acquaintances all start treating you differently as you treat yourself with more respect and compassion. You're modeling how to treat you for others by their example. The paradox of self-worth in love is that the less you truly need someone's attention or approval, the more desirable you are to good people. Desperation pushes away, while self-assurance and self-contained energy draw in. This isn't a strategy. This is a law of human psychology. This is a turning point, a break from unconscious patterns to conscious choice. You now know what many women spend a lifetime searching for, the profound psychological patterns that flip you from pursuer to pursued, from option to priority, from forgettable to unforgettable. These 9 insights aren't strategies, they're keys to real feminine power, a space where your presence alone demands attention, where your boundaries foster respect, where your love becomes something men are motivated to gain through their own evolution. But knowledge without action is just intellectual exercise. Are you ready to stretch beyond who you've been conditioned to be and become the woman you were born to be? Because in a world where women wrestle with each other for scraps of attention, settle for mediocrity as the ceiling, and accept less than they want, the woman who knows her own worth doesn't compete, she just is, and good relationships fall into place naturally with her. These aren't manipulative strategies, they're principles of conscious attraction that respect both masculine and feminine psychology, used with integrity. You don't merely attract the relationship you want, you become the woman you were intended to be. The process of bringing these patterns into place isn't always comfortable. It takes courage to release old patterns, wisdom to understand when and how to use each principle, and patience as you create new ways of being in relationship. Certain days, you will perform these patterns impeccably. Other days, you'll return to old patterns. This is natural and a part of the evolving process. What is most important is that you are committed to conscious evolution. Every interaction becomes a chance to practice these principles, deepen your knowledge of human psychology, and develop your own unique power. You're not only altering your love life, you're becoming a woman who demands respect and attraction in every aspect of life. Women who master these patterns don't merely get better relationships, they become magnetic leaders, trusted friends, respected colleagues, and powerful agents of positive change in their communities. These abilities carry over to all aspects of life because they're essentially about knowing human nature and acting from wisdom instead of reaction. Your conscious evolution starts the moment you decide to see yourself and let yourself be seen as the amazing woman that you really are. The decision, as it has always been, is in your hands. But here's what's different about this moment. As you're considering these revelations, another woman somewhere is already applying them to her life, already embracing her real power, already drawing to herself the love she deserves. The question is not whether these patterns are effective. Human psychology follows consistent rules, regardless of whether we are aware of them or not. The question is whether you will apply this awareness to build the relationship and the life you truly want. Recall, mastery is achieved through practice, not perfection. Begin with the patterns that resonate most with you. Practice them regularly. See the results and step by step, incorporate the others as they become second nature. It's a process of becoming, not an end point to arrive at. The cave you avoid entering contains the treasure you are seeking. Joseph Campbell. Welcome to your authentic power. The world waits for the woman you are becoming, and the right man is looking for just the energy you are learning to be. Your makeover starts